When you were growing up, did you ever play board games with your family? I personally have a lot of fond memories of Monopoly, something many people I played with accused each other of cheating at. But a couple of my friends have a go-to game called Axis and Allies, a big strategic war game. For those that have played it, Axis and Allies is a really complex game, so if you're looking for something a little simpler but similar to it, a few years ago the Nintendo Switch got a port of Risk, something I originally played in video game form back on the PS1. Finally coming out of my Patreon's early access after over a year, here is my review of Risk Global Domination for the Nintendo Switch. When it comes to gameplay, Risk is a turn-based strategy game, and this version is a direct port of the PS4 and Xbox One release. When it comes to game modes, there are a couple things you can do. Single player allows you to set up custom matches against the AI as well as do a couch co-op sort of thing with other players. Then you've got an online area where you can make custom or tournament style matches against other players from around the globe. When you actually go in, there are a few different game types you can do. The default is World Domination, where each player is assigned a territory and you keep going until someone captures everything. Then there's Capitals, which is very similar, but instead of capturing every territory, you just need the capital buildings. But then we get something interesting with the secret mission mode. Instead of just doing conquest, you get a secret message on your first turn, which is effectively a specialized challenge for you to do to win the game. It then becomes a race against the clock to get your challenge done before the other players get theirs done. Now let's get to how you play the game. As I said earlier, Risk is a strategic war game like Axis and Allies, but much simpler. When each game starts, a fair number of the territories on the map are divided between the players, but not all of them. Each turn has 3 phases. Draft allows you to recruit new troops to various territories, Attack lets you move those troops to neighboring territories to try to take them over, and Fortify allows you to trade cards you get for conquering territories for more troops to use in the next turn. But let's talk about that attack phase. Attacking other territories is where Risk really simplifies things between it and Axis and Allies. You can take any troops on your territory and move them to a neighboring one to attack it and try to claim it. Now when you do this in Axis and Allies, you have a ton of different troop types that you can attack with, like infantry, artillery, tanks, and battleships. Instead of having all of these types each with their own dice roll count, you simply have troops and use your numbers to roll dice against the enemy numbers. This difference I find to not really be bad, as it makes it very simple and easy to get into, especially for people who aren't used to this kind of board game. The game also has a tactical advice feature you can hit, so the game will tell you what they think you should do to give you some ideas. As you dive into things here, you're going to notice that only having a single AI to play against isn't really going to do much for you. I did a stream of this way back over a year ago against a single AI, and that was basically just, hey, let's watch this AI use all of its knowledge to completely decimate me. It wasn't until I started adding 3 to 4 AIs to a single match and having go slower that I really started to learn and get better. As all of this stuff comes together, I think overall it's a nice little war game, but it is a bit lacking in content. You've got your 3 game modes, but unlockable stuff is really where it just doesn't have much. You can unlock some cosmetics as you play the challenges, but nothing you're really going to use in the game. The flip side of this is the fact that Risk goes on sale in the eShop extremely often. There's probably not even 3 to 4 weeks that goes by without it going on sale for at least 30 to 50% off. When it comes to presentation, you don't really play this for graphics, as the in-game stuff doesn't really have any. Though I will admit that the virtual assistant and introduction to each game does have a really cool look to it. As far as performance goes, the game runs smooth as butter, no frame drops, no crashing, no nothing. So with that out of the way, let's dive into battery life. Risk gives the original model a battery range of 3 hours and 3 minutes up to 4 hours and 13. The Switch Lite gets a range of 3 hours and 9 up to 5 hours and 3. The Redbox V2 2019 model gets a range of 5 hours and 6 minutes up to 7 hours and 4, and the Nintendo Switch OLED model gets a range of 5 hours and 24 minutes up to 7 hours and 30. In conclusion, Risk Global Domination brings strategic simplified war games to the Nintendo Switch. Now on the downside, it's a bit lacking in content, especially when it comes to unlockables. But if you're interested in this type of game and want something that's a little simpler than Axis and Allies to play on the go, it's not a bad pick, especially with how often it goes on sale. Reviews to Go rates Risk Global Domination for the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.